Live from Fox 12 Oregon, this is breaking news.
Good evening and welcome to the 8 o'clock news on Fox 12 and Fox 12 Plus. I'm Pete Ferryman.
And I'm Nora Hart. We want to get straight to breaking news tonight as we're following an 8th night of protests following the death of George Floyd. This is a live look from Air 12 tonight. We're looking down on the Morrison Bridge, and yes, we're looking at thousands of people once again gathering in Portland for one unified cause.
Yeah, you know, it's almost a mirror image of last night thus far. Peaceful and just some magnificent images as thousands of people across the Morrison Bridge, well-organized demonstration so far. They had gathered at Revolution Hall earlier, and we'll show you some video of that in a moment. But there you see just, thousands of people once again on the streets demonstrating, protesting racial inequality, police brutality, and demanding justice and reform.
We're going to show you video of this again in just a few moments, but down in the crowd, Blazer star Damian Lillard.
Wow.
The protesters moving across the bridge, they did take a moment a little bit earlier to sit on the Morrison Bridge before continuing their way across the bridge. Air 12 captured that as well, another powerful moment. This was again earlier this evening. All of them got down on the bridge, and we've seen this the last couple of nights. It's amazing to see just the mass of people.
And I want to hang with this video on the Morrison Bridge because it really is just such a spectacular sight. This image made national headlines, really headlines around the world last night when it was a similar demonstration and symbolic gesture. And here we see it again tonight. Thousands of people, this just within the last half hour, 45 minutes or so ago, crossing the Morrison Bridge in solidarity tonight and on a spectacular evening here in Portland.
And Pete, this is really a significant day. I mean, every day that they've come out, it seems like we see more and more people, but today is significant because this was George Floyd's memorial. It was held today in Minneapolis. You know, members of his family spoke. It was very emotional. It was the first of many memorials we are expecting in the next several days. But tonight, part of this gathering could be because of that.
Oh, absolutely. You can feel the emotion in the air. The reporters that we have covering this, describing it for us. And yeah, the service in Minnesota tonight, earlier today rather, Reverend Al Sharpton spoke. We'll be probably hearing some more of that throughout the newscast tonight. But there you see that image again as people remember George Floyd on this 8th night here in Portland. And here's that image at Revolution Hall. And Nora, it seems like this was once again a kind of a launching pad of one group, and then there's another group at Pioneer Courthouse Square, and then they come together each night. And this was earlier at Revolution Hall.
It seems very organized. I mentioned just a few moments ago that we saw Trailblazers star guard Damian Lillard in the crowd. You can see him right there in the middle with the black hat and the X on his shirt. He was linked arm in arm with protesters as they marched from Revolution Hall on the east side toward the waterfront. He was right in front there.
Yeah, what a symbolic gesture there. Just in solidarity, Portland's biggest star, perhaps, helping to lead the crowd on point. We are expecting him perhaps to speak down at the waterfront, and if that happens, we'll bring it to you live. We, of course, have team coverage tonight of everything that's happening with crews across the city.
That's right. Let's get right to Fox 12's Drew Reeves. Drew, what are you seeing out there?
Well, we're a little bit ahead of this group that is now making its way down NATO Parkway. We're following the same path that we took yesterday. So we started out at Revolution Hall, as you were saying, and then we marched across the Morrison Bridge, which people are still making their way across. And now they are making their way down NATO Parkway. And you mentioned this earlier. It does seem like every single day that we're with these groups, they just seem to get larger and larger. More people coming out to protest racial injustice in America, fighting against police brutality, and saying that Black Lives Matter. We've heard from some speakers that they are again meeting down here at the waterfront, and we're going to hear more speakers down here. They were we were able to talk to one of the organizers of this event, and he said today it was going to be just a little bit different in that he wanted to focus more on some voices from women as well as trans folks who are part of the Black community, saying, we also heard from one speaker who said that this should be Pride Month. But instead of celebrating in the streets, people are out here once again fighting for justice and fighting for the right to live. And as I was saying, we were able to speak to one of the organizers of this event. I believe we have a clip of audio from him that we can take a listen to.
I want to see less of a lethal force on the streets. I mean, the amount of money that we're putting into the police department it's offensive. I mean, we can be putting that money into things that actually affect the youth that are going to be changing the city and keeping it from turning into something that needs to have a militarized police force. Heard Ted Wheeler recently just took police force and security off of school campuses. That's a start. That's a start. So we're definitely not there yet, but we're on our way.
Yeah, that was one of the big topics today that was discussed as well with speakers, that was celebrated out here, was the removal of school resource officers in Portland schools. And that organizer also said that he noticed that there were disparities in the police department and who they're serving, and they're very much underserving, he said, Black communities, and wants to see a change. Again, just a very, very large crowd out here making its way down NATO Parkway to the waterfront, where several people are expected to speak. We've heard there is a possibility, as you were saying, that Damian Lillard could be speaking out here, but not sure exactly who is going to be taking the stage. But they've been marching for a while now, making their way once again down NATO Parkway. Just a very large group, almost seems larger than even yesterday's.
Boy, the image really just, it's a magnificent sight to see, Drew. Thank you so much. And I'm glad that Drew brought up, you know, Pride Month. The events had been canceled, and you've seen a lot of people coming together from disenfranchised communities. This really just taking on a bigger scope now, bigger scale, addressing those who are demanding justice.
Right. It is amazing, Pete. So many events have been canceled because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
I mean, as you mentioned, those events, but also the Starlight Parade, a lot of stuff with the Rose Festival. So to see this massive amount of people downtown all coming together, obviously it's not a celebration. No. The undertone is very somber. And they're also on a mission. There's a lot of anger and frustration, but it is beautiful to see that this is possible to have this many people together peacefully protesting. And
I'm sure there are people at home, and we have questions too. You know, what is this going to mean during the time of a pandemic when you have so many people gathered? You know, the concerns here overriding that clearly, and you know, police allowing for this group here to make its way across the Morrison Bridge and down into Waterfront Park. And Police Bureau spokesman today and the deputy chief praising the demonstrators for acting so peacefully for the vast majority of the evening last night and so far tonight.
And speakers made their voices heard on the Morrison Bridge. Just a short time ago, a woman stood up and addressed the crowd. Take a listen.
I'm out here today in the middle of a pandemic because I'm more likely to die from police brutality than I am from coronavirus. It is not enough to be non-racist. We must be anti-racist.
Yeah, you know, and that's a theme that we've heard repeated time and time again. You know, the demonstrators saying that if you're being silent, then you are part of the problem. And the people of Portland tonight clearly not being silent. They are making their voices heard, and they are really just creating some symbolic, magnificent gestures. That sight over the Morrison Bridge, I still can't get over it. Seeing that many people kneeling down, laying down, seeing speakers like that, you know, speaking from the heart, really capturing the attention of the entire nation tonight.
And you know, Pete, over the last couple of days, our crews have had a chance to talk with a lot of those protesters, and many of them have said that they've been watching coverage over the last few days. They were so impressed that things stayed peaceful, that they were organized, and so they grabbed their families and they went down to join them. They wanted to be a part of it. They want to be on the ground there, but I think a lot of them were maybe nervous to get down there because, you know, some of the past protests have gotten out of hand, but they've seen what Portland is capable of, and so many people want to be part of this.
It's such a difference from last Friday night when you know, we were sitting here and watching things kind of spiral out of control when it was not as organized and it was a riot. Over the last few nights, though, it's grown more and more peaceful, more organized, and there's been a growing sense of pride among Portlanders. And you can see it online. You can hear it in the voices of the demonstrators down there, but they're proud of the fact that they're able to pull this off. I mean, look, they're heading towards Waterfront Park right now. The Blues Festival was canceled next month, but it's a similar size crowd as to what you'd have at the Blues Festival, but without the corporate sponsors and all of the, you know, the workers. This here is really just a grassroots movement, and they were able to pull it off last night and keep things peaceful, really up until, you know, the very end, when, you know, a splinter group broke off and police said about 200 people perhaps, you know, caused some problems, and we saw that standoff along the fence at the Justice Center. But all in all, just it's remarkable to see the city of Portland coming together and this group able to pull this off without causing more disturbances or confrontations as you might expect from a crowd this size.
So many of them have said what they want is change, and Portland police already this week and Portland city leaders, including the mayor, they've responded. A lot of these people have met with the chief of police. They've met with the mayor of Portland. In fact, today, you know, Mayor Ted Wheeler held a press conference saying that they're going to do away with student resource officers there in schools, Portland Public Schools is, and that's a huge move. A lot of them calling that a success. They want to hear from police, and overall, police have been quite supportive, and on social media even saying, you know, welcome, come on down, peaceful protest.
Yeah, you know, I don't think that should be lost on anybody. That's a significant move, pulling school resource officers out of the schools, and you know, not everyone is on board with that. We heard from Daryl Turner, the police union president. He spoke out against it. He's an African-American man, and he spoke out against it, saying that school resource officers have been a great resource for students. But these folks here, they are saying they just want police, you know, out of the schools, and they want police really out of the way. And for the most part tonight, what we're seeing is police getting out of the way for them to make this demonstration happen. You mentioned the school resource officers. We just discussed that. Also in Congress, Nancy Pelosi unveiling a sweeping police reform bill that she hopes to introduce next week. So the demonstrators are calling for change, and they're getting it. I mean, their voices are being heard, and I think that's fueling what we're seeing right now and attracting more people to the cause.
That and the fact that today was George Floyd's memorial in Minneapolis. A lot of people taking a moment to just pause and reflect on his life and just the movement that his death has sparked. His family saying that his death will not be in vain and that there will be justice following that. And you're definitely seeing that unfold here on the streets of Portland, and just in mass amounts. And we're seeing people down there of all ages. This isn't just one demographic. Our reporters are seeing kids and families and different races and a lot of different political viewpoints too, because this really isn't about politics per se. This is about equal rights among human beings.
Sure, and you know what that means when it comes to the law and resources for the city and where, you know, tax dollars are spent. There are different ideas and opposing viewpoints, but I think you're right, Nora. The one thing that unites all of these people is just the basic concept of ending racism, calling for justice, and addressing the inequality that we see in our society. And that's the overall message that unites this crowd here tonight. And you know, we've got reporters who are down on, you know, with the groups right now at ground level. They've been talking to them and hearing the same sentiments.
In fact, let's check in with one now. Brenna Kelly is live at Pioneer Courthouse Square. Brenna, how has it been there tonight?
Well, this is starting out as a night of hope. This is a crowd that wants to turn the energy into action, into political action that is tangible. The group that was here just an hour ago was made up of the faith community. They came together tonight. They say tonight is different for them, not only because it is George Floyd's memorial, but also because the other three now ex-Minneapolis police officers involved in George Floyd's killing are facing charges. We heard from a number of pastors, including Pastor Lisa, who said, "For our lives, we've felt a hardwired racism in society, but tonight has hope. We will confront the evil that is racism." In speaking to the white allies, they're going from sympathy to empathy to strategy, she's saying. She says they don't just feel sorry for the black community's pain, but the allies are putting their feet to action. And tonight, she sees a new generation entering the fight. And she also pointed out George Floyd's young daughter, who said, "Daddy changed the world." Another speaker recognizing the diversity in the crowd, saying, "We are one language, one sound, one voice, and one people." Take a listen to another one of the speakers.
I want to thank each one of you. I want to thank each one of you for lifting your voices, for making your presence to be known. I believe that we have an ear now, and we trust that following the protests, following everything that you're doing here, we'll be able to sit down and bring the change that is so very, very important in our country.
One of the speakers says he doesn't like the destruction, but he does like the noise. He says he believes after the protests, we will be able to bring change. Now, again, there is no curfew tonight. This is really a test of faith from police with protesters that tonight will be peaceful. I asked the organizers of this group who have now left. It's thinned out quite a bit since the faith community came together. I asked what their plan was tonight, if they plan to march and meet the group that's headed to the waterfront. He says, "We're going home." But you'll notice that typically we do see this group at Pioneer Courthouse Square meet up with the other organizers. Right now, there's a couple hundred people here. We'll keep you posted on what happens. For now, reporting live from Pioneer Courthouse Square, Brenna Kelly, Fox 12 Oregon.